Now we're going to talk about a really nice tool, or actually it's a collection of tools. And if you want to go to the guy's website, it's at brymorelabs.com, and he actually is a 15-year veteran of forensics. And you can download the tools here. This is what I'm talking about, this live response collection, the Allosaurus build. I guess he likes dinosaurs or something. He's also got other things, but this is the one that's going to interest us in this course. So here I've got it, the directory, the folder in front of us, and this is on my flash drive. Here again, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I run it off a flash drive whenever possible. This Excel file has a list of all the tools that he includes and what they're for, brief descriptions. So anyway, let's go ahead and run the collection tool. Okay, so you have three choices. And the three choices determine the thoroughness of your investigation. Okay, it just depends on how much time you want to spend letting it go. So I'm going to go ahead and say secure complete. This will take quite a while. And go ahead and say run selected Windows live response script. Move that one over. Okay, obviously this is going to take quite a while. I'm going to have to snip a good bit out of this recording before we actually go on. So anyway, and when we come back, I'll let you know about how long it took. Well, after an hour and a half, I get to the end. Now, one of the interesting things you'll note here is that there was a directory here, a folder, with all the collected data, and it went ahead and zipped it using 7-zip, which is slightly different than gzip or WinZip or something. But you'll notice here, if you look closely at the window, it tells me I have to write down my password for the archive. So I'm going to press any key to continue. It's giving me one last chance to write down my password. Okay. So now let's see. I actually wrote down my password in a notepad. Go ahead. I do not want to buy WinRAR. Okay, I guess. What I'm actually going to do is go ahead and copy this out to the desktop so I have more room on this drive. It's only a 16 gig drive, and I just want to make sure. Alright, so I have the file. Let me make sure I get my password again. Okay, now I'm going to copy all these back to the zip drive. I'm going to copy all these back to the flash drive. It's kind of hard keeping this in the capture window. Hopefully I wrote down the right password. Looks like I did. Otherwise this would be a pretty short presentation, wouldn't it? Okay, I'll snip this out so you don't have to watch this information getting unzipped. Okay, so everything's unzipped, and I have two folders here. Forensic images, disk image. I don't think it got many of the disk images just because my main hard drive is too big. It actually just got J, that's all, because I'm only operating off of a 16 gig flash drive. I believe it did a memory dump. Yeah, there's the whole memory dump. Okay, okay, so let's take a look at some of the data that this program collected. Now, before we even start, I remember early on in this course we talked about creating a batch file and running like command line utilities and running the sysinternals utilities and collecting them into a text file. Essentially, that's what the author of this system has done. Pretty much he's shelling out, he's using a script, and then he's capturing the script data so that he collects this information. Just to kind of show you what he's done, let's go to my J drive. And you can actually see the scripts that he's running. Okay, and so if I go here to Windows Live Response, he's got a scripts folder. And these scripts actually are exactly what we did earlier in this course. He created several batch files that would collect the data that he needed it to collect. So you already know how to do that. The nice thing is that this guy has been doing this for years, and he's kind of collected it up into a really nice package so that you don't have to think about it. So let's look into basic information. So disk drive list. So normally I'm going to be using Notepad++. I know I've been using Notepad for a lot of these things, but Notepad++ is a much better editor. It's free. So I do encourage you to go ahead and download it and maybe use it. So here's the basic information. It's letting me know about my disks and partitions. Okay, as I've said before, I have quite a few external USB drives. Okay, so let me get rid of that. No, I don't want to update you. Okay, full file listing. Okay, this is actually a pretty big file. Basically, it did a, if you ever do any kind of programming, it did a find first for each directory and then a find next, and it actually recursively went through the C drive. You notice it starts here and then it recurses the directories. So this is actually called a recursive drive directory. Here's interesting. This is not a big file, but this one here, the system32, it took quite a while. That was one of the things that it spent a lot of time doing, was getting the hashes for system32. Let me just show you one of the smaller files. Okay, this is a list of hashes. So he's got the hashes, followed by information, and then the actual file name. So the reason that the hashes are important is because if you're in court, you have to prove that what you sampled is the same as maybe something that when you actually image something, let's say you eventually got to the point where you're doing a disk image, you have to be able to compare the files and their hashes of the time you did the live response with the hashes when you actually did the slow in-lab analysis. So these hashes are really important when you're doing a live response, because that way, if anything is changed after you do the live response, you'll have a way to prove that it was changed. Installed software. Okay. And this is the software, and basically there's a way to go to Windows and find out what's been installed. Okay. Obviously, a lot of my stuff is going to be Microsoft development tools and Intel. I use a lot of the Intel development tools. So that's actually really important, because when you're doing an investigation, it might not be completely obvious that they've got some sort of software installed that they're using for some sort of malicious activity. So very important. Last activity view. Okay, this is actually an HTML file. Let me just I should be able to just double click it. Okay, this is actually a pretty nice report. So last activities that I did actually, very, very nice. It kind of gives you a snapshot of what the person has actually been doing. And as you can see, a lot of this has to do with capture, live incidents and stuff. A lot of this is Camtasia activity, which I use to create these presentations. So that's a lot of my recent activity has to do with making this presentation. List hidden directories. Probably the only hidden directories I have are like system directories and stuff. Let's see. Yeah. So there's not really a lot of hidden directories that are big surprises. They're all pretty much what you'd expect on a Windows system. Loaded system drivers. Now, when this would be really, this is all really standard stuff. But remember when we talked about slack space, and I said you can't actually write to the C drive or the system drive because there's a security stop that they added in the Vista operating system. So Vista 7, 8, and 10 don't let you write to the C drive. Well, the exception to that is if you've written your own device driver, then you can go ahead and write to the C drive or drives with files open. So this would be a really good place to look for that, in that it's going to be listing all your drivers and where they are. So you could identify some sort of malicious driver, maybe not malicious, but some sort of driver that's unexpected, that's helping someone do the wrong things on your drive or on your system. Okay, logical disk name. Like I said, I have quite a few external disks. Okay, here are the sizes, and a lot of them are actually 4 terabyte drives, which I know is kind of unsafe as far as it goes. They're not quite as reliable as the 2 terabyte drives. I probably should swap them all out, but sort of once you get them filled up, it's hard. Possible Unicode files. Okay, and this is going to maybe list things such as, say, password files or credit card files. There's nothing listed here, so obviously I don't have anything that I've found. Pick view extended. Okay, this is almost all it has to do with just programs that are installed on my computer. And these are pretty standard. Pick view extended. Okay, oh, there's my Leap control panel. I have a Leap motion controller. And that would be a really interesting thing. I don't have it plugged in, so you wouldn't know. But that I could come up here and see this Leap motion controller. That might turn out to be good, important information for later. Okay, this is the result of PS file, and I believe we've talked about PS file. Okay, no files remotely opened. Good. I mean, maybe not good, but good to know. And this is PS info that it captured. Remember all these things that we've already talked about in this presentation. So he's PS list. This should be a process list. This will be a fairly full file. Okay. PS logged on. This will tell you who all was logged on. The only person that was logged on was me. Good to know, because that will tell you if someone is trying to access you that you're not necessarily aware of. Okay, so this really has information about system services, what access they have. So that's important to know. So you might have a service. Okay, running processes. This is somewhat like what you get from Task Manager. Okay. By the way, These SBC host.exes, that's really a wrapper. So you would really have to drill down and get some more detailed information on those. There are quite a few of those. Okay, date, time, pretty standard information. System info will help you understand the system, the memory, and things like that. So this is actually pretty helpful to you. All your network cards. WMI is a bit different. This is the WMI system information. Okay, TCP view. This is going to help you understand your connectivity. Okay, and you would, in order to really sort of follow this through, you'd have to figure out what that exe was doing. DNS responder. That actually has to do with your net BIOS. So it would take quite a bit of work to follow through with that. But there are databases online you can use to help you with this. WinAudit. Okay. Oh, this is an HTML file we can just double click on. Okay. And this is really nice, nicely formatted, really easy to use. So, okay. This code page, pretty short file. Okay, that's really not all that useful. Windows version. This is actually pretty useful because you'll know what kind of patches, you'll know what kind of vulnerabilities this operating system has. Okay, network info. Okay, C ports. Well, this is actually also an HTML file, so I can just double click. Okay, nicely formatted. This is really, really nice. A few hyperlinks to those remote addresses, so you can say check them out and see what they're doing. Okay, very nice. Okay, this is ARP, which ARP, is the address resolution protocol. So this actually is going to help you in certain cases. It would definitely help you if, say, there was some ARP poisoning going on your network. Okay. NBT stat, we've already talked about NBT stat. We've used it. I believe we added it to our batch file that we created. So that goes through and gives you an exhaustive list of that. NetBIOS. NetBIOS is going to have to do with your local network and the local traffic on your network. Not much there really. NetStat. Okay, so all of this is really useful for trying to find out details about network traffic. Persistence. So let me open up this auto runs thing. We've already looked at this. Okay, so that's got the auto runs. Very important because malicious software is many times going to auto run. Okay, auto runs.txt. And as you'll notice, you're getting this out of the registry, okay? Driver group. Okay. So suffice it to say, there is, and I'm not going to go through everything in this report, but user information might be pretty interesting for us right now. I don't have many logins, probably only a couple logins in this box. Okay. So the point is that this tool gives you enough information that you can really get a good understanding of what's going on.